Let's talk a little bit about stand-up comedy and the you. I know two stand-up comics who are conservatives, you and Tommy Dreesen, and that's all I know. And I remember a couple of people talking to me. I'm sure they talked to you about it more. It was more like 7, 8 years ago, really, than very lately. But people were saying, we need to do a daily show. We need to have a conservative daily show. And people would say that to me, and I would say, it's not possible to have a conservative daily show. Well, why not? Because the Daily Show, all the Daily Show does is make fun of people. It makes fun of ordinary people. Jon Stewart and Bill Maher and all the rest of these people have a little pact, and the pact is, you come into my show, and we'll all sit here, and we'll talk about how stupid those conservatives in Iowa are, and that'll be a way for us to show each other how much smarter we are than them and better that we are than them. And you can't do that. You can't mock common people and be a conservative, because conservatives understand the power of the individual. I went to a show once, and I was so far out in the weeds, and it was really, really early in my speaking career, and some guy came up to me, no exaggeration now, he came up to me in those coveralls. He looked like he was Junior Samples from Hee Haw. He really did. And I had this thought, coming from Los Angeles and all the glamour and all this. Oh man, this is this really my audience? And then instantly, I caught myself and I said, this man knows 100 things better than I do. He probably knows 3 or 4 things as well as almost anybody in the world. Stop being so arrogant and listen to what this person has to say. Get away from whether he's styled or not, and start to pay attention to what he does and what he says and what he thinks.
Well, that's one of the big differences that I draw. When I say the modern liberal is the stupidest human being to have ever lived, I make very clear I don't mean that he's not clever. He's often very clever. Jon Stewart or Bill Maher might be very clever. Doesn't mean he's not articulate. What it means is that he's wrong. All right. And to me, the guy who is inarticulate and lacks for cleverness but is right, to me, a 6-year-old child who blurts out 2 and 2 is 4 is a lot smarter than the Harvard professor who tries to convince me it's 8.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was talking to somebody once when early in Obama's term, and we got into an argument, and I was telling him all the things I thought Obama didn't do well, and he says, well, at least he's smarter than George Bush. And I said, really? George Bush was a supersonic fighter pilot. Barack Obama handed out forms. If you had to pick one of these things to do, which one do you think would be easier? Because I've done both of those things practically, not supersonic, but I've flown instrument approaches, and there's no comparison between these two things. So they equate rhetorical skill with intelligence, and they also equate lack of rhetorical skill with just raw ignorance. Oh, he doesn't talk very well. He must be.
They actually associate having a job with ignorance. You are a failure.
That's what the pros do. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
If you have a job, Springsteen, who I adore for various reasons, but not this particular line. But at the very end of the first song that opens up "Born to Run," that explains why he's born to run, that is the definitive album of the working man's troubadour. He's trying to leave town. He sings, "This is a town full of losers. I'm pulling out of here to win." What made them losers? That they didn't become rock stars, that they didn't become Pulitzer Prize winning journalists, that they didn't become a tenured professors.
That's right.
There is, and the leftist elite is caught in this intellectual loop where they are convinced that anybody who has a job is stupid. And therefore, it's their job to lie to the stupid people, because if they don't lie to the stupid people, then they're bitter and they cling to their guns and they're racist. So they'll lie to them. And when the American people are too smart to believe their lies, instead of saying, my gosh, they're smarter than we thought they were, let's stop lying to them, it's not working, we're just hurting our own reputation and our own not credentials, but credence. Instead, they double down and they decide the reason the American people don't believe their lies is because they're stupid and racist.
That's right.
I'll give you an example. All right, Michael Brown did not have his hands up. He was not yelling "Don't shoot," as you know from, and I know you know from your great videos. He was high on drugs. He punched a cop in the face. He tried to murder the cops. But the leftists in the elite are afraid that the hicks who have jobs are going to go out and lynch black people. They told them the truth.
That's it.
And so they lie to them. And when the American people don't believe the lie, they say, well, didn't they read it in the New York Times? They're too stupid to read. They're too stupid to believe our lies. Or why do they think Michael Brown didn't have his hands up? because they hate black people.
That's
So
right.
the only stupid people are the ones who actually believe the liberals.
That's right, and that's why we'll never hear anything about Muslim terrorists. That's why we'll hear motive was unknown. He's shouting Allahu Akbar, gunning down people, and it's like the motive on this attack is not clear. It's because liberals think that conservatives, this is an interesting point I want to develop with you, they think that only liberals are mature enough emotionally to understand that this is just one person or a small group of people. My God, if we tell the rest of the country that this was a Muslim attack, then the Rubes and the Hicks are going to go down the street and start pulling innocent Muslims out of their homes and beating them to death with tire irons out in the alley. And I have long felt, Evan, from listening to these people, that when they say things like, "Oh no, we can't trust American people to not just go crazy and lynch them all," or no, if I had a gun, this is a progressive talking, but if I had a gun, I mean, maybe I'd shoot myself or shoot my girlfriend or something. And all of this, it's all projection. It's all projection. I don't want guns around because I don't trust myself with a gun. And we can't tell the conservatives out in the middle of America, the most decent people in the history of the world, we can't tell them about what's really happening because these guys are just going to go absolutely full on, nuclear, and they're just going to murder people in the streets. It's not just virtue signaling. It is a desperate attempt to reinforce how much better they are than the average people. And that's what really drives this whole thing, right? They're smarter and they're morally better.
They're smarter and they're morally better, and they are afraid of you. I mean, one of the chapters in my book is fear and loathing of the people that we're describing right now. It's not just that they don't like you, they hate you, and they are afraid of you. I mean, they literally think because you have a job, because you aren't part of the leftist elite, like Elizabeth Warren, making $350,000 a year to teach one course, you must be stupid. Why would you get up on a freezing cold Iowa day to start a small business working on other people's cars for $40,000 a year when you could lie about your heritage, get an affirmative action position at Harvard, make $350,000? Obviously, Elizabeth Warren is smarter than you. Mm-hmm. And because you are a loser and you are bitter and you are on the verge of violence, this is how they see the people. This is why they're so afraid of the Tea Party. Bill, the Tea Party is so peaceful, we don't even litter.
No, we leave it cleaner. We leave it cleaner than it was when we got there, as opposed to Occupy Wall Street.
But we're on the – meanwhile, Occupy Wall Street, which is actually named after the Nazi occupation. It's actually named after a violent takeover of other people's lives where there are literally rapes and dead bodies having been found. That's not a violent movement. But the Tea Party is a violent movement. Why? Because we're the people, they're the people who have jobs. They're the middle American, hardworking people. And to the liberal, if you have a job that's proof positive that you failed because you failed because you were stupid, because you're stupid and failed, you're bitter, and because you're bitter, you're going to be violent.